EYL Farms coming.
Hey!
My graduates from my school being Forbes, bag drop.
Bag drop.
A mic drop, bag drop.
Bag drop. All right, welcome back, EYL. This is something that is a very important, special episode and a topic that we haven't covered yet, but an essential topic. And it's ironic because I actually put a post up a few days ago about farming and about agriculture and said we wanted to, kind of have more topics about that. So this is in line with that, a little different, but it falls in that bucket and it's business as well, big business. And something that, we don't usually think about as far as starting a business. Yeah. So, when we talk about grocery stores.
We all go.
Yeah. So Aaron Johnson, AJ, we were connected with him last year when we went to Tulsa for the 100th year commemorates, I guess we should call it, of the Black Wall Street bombing. And we did Market Mondays live. Mm-hmm. And that was crazy to actually do Market Mondays live.
It was crazy.
On the day, around the same time, I believe they said.
Yeah, almost to the minute.
So that was just, a very, 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 just all kind of emotional experience for us. It was really dope. But we got connected with AJ, and he has a story where he started a grocery store on the north side of Tulsa, which is where Black Wall Street is, that area, right?
Yes, sir.
And that is predominantly black neighborhood. And the neighborhood has had a variety of different issues ever since, Black Wall Street. So this is going to be an interesting conversation because having a grocery store, something that is extremely important, like I said, is vital for survival because everybody has to eat food. It's like non-negotiable. But also when we talk about like food deserts and we talk about low quality food, different things of that nature, like, it's very, very important to have, good groceries, produce and meats and different things of that nature in the community. And being that, it's hard to really start a startup grocery chain. Most grocery chains are like chains.
Yeah, you need to franchise them or something like that.
Yeah, like A&P, ShopRite, different things of that nature.
Yeah, Stop and Shop and all that.
Stop and Shop. You don't really see too many. So what happens in a lot of neighborhoods is that the grocery stores turn into like gas stations, different things of that nature. So that's when I was in Baltimore. And we'll talk about that. But I actually did a study on food deserts in Baltimore. So
I mean, look, right here in Greenburg, they took our supermarket out, turned it into a DSW.
Yeah. This conversation is very important because we understand the effects that nutrition has on us as far as our health. We talk about diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, all of those different things. Yeah. Heart disease, different things of that nature. And so to be an entrepreneur, to be a black entrepreneur with a grocery store in North Tulsa, home of Black Wall Street, very important. So this is going to be a very educational, informative episode. I'm sure of it.
Passionate one.
Yeah. So first and foremost, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Man, it's an honor to be here. Honor to serve y'all. Y'all have no idea the impact that not only you've had on me and my family, but the millions of people that are being reached because of you all. And so it's an honor to be amongst some of the OGs in the game.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, brother.
And we ran into each other at InvestFest as well. I said
so awesome.
we got a classic on the way. So I'm happy that you're here to make this happen.
So I want to get into it, but before I do, I want to just kind of give some historical reference points for people that they might have heard of Black Wall Street, but they don't really know too much. Like, why is Tulsa important? Why is North Tulsa, Black Wall Street? Why is it important historically, and why is it still important now?
Man, great question. The thing that happened in 1921, the race massacre, can never be quantified because we don't know how many Amazon inventors were there, how many iPhone, patents were there, how many things that we have today, really we could have had back then. Tulsa at that time and Oklahoma really was considered a refuge for blacks. And there was, at that time, more millionaires per capita than any other state. more black millionaires. So that's crazy. In 1921, think about the wealth that would equate to today had that continued. And so, you know, a young black got on an elevator. The story is that she said, you know, he said that he was attacked, or he attacked her. She ran out, which wasn't true at all, of the elevator. And all of a sudden, they're going to lynch him. And some blacks, wealthy blacks, got together, former military, and said, we're not going to let this happen in our community. Release him. And they refused. And all of a sudden, planes start dropping bombs in Black Wall Street, destroying businesses, killing people. And so over 300 people were murdered. And that's the story of Black Wall Street. And so when the centennial came, May 31st of 2021, the question in the world was asking, what's changed for blacks in the last 100 years? Because how many other Black Wall Streets would have been created had that one not been destroyed? How many other minority Wall Streets were there? There would have been a Hispanic. Like, that would have been the model. We would have created the model for other minorities to say, man, if they can do it, what if we come together? So the wealth disparities that we have today wouldn't be the case, I believe, had that not taken place in Tulsa, in North Tulsa at that time.
Yeah, they were saying when we took the tour, like there was one gentleman, he had like a restaurant, he had a hotel, and they were saying like he could have been like Marriott. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean, like there was a bunch of people that you know, when you look at it, you never know the trajectory of what could have happened, but it was, you know, such a successful and thriving community that you know, just that one neighborhood, like you said, could have produced generational wealth for a variety of different people, and even bigger than that, actually created industries like tycoons in the industries. And you know, is, from my understanding, the only you know, U.S. bombing that was, you know, because I think it was like military planes that actually dropped those bombs, and that's the only time that bombs was ever dropped from planes that was sanctioned from America in American history on American citizens ever was then. Wow. So, you know, that kind of puts it in perspective when we think about it. Like, you know, the only time that America actually sanctioned bombing from planes on American citizens was in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Even bombers in general. I believe they were saying that outside of Pearl Harbor, that was the only other time there's been a bombing on American soil. And the first one
from planes,
from planes was us. We were bombing each other.
Even 9/11, that wasn't a bombing. They drove the planes to the building. Yeah. But because it's not easy to drop a bomb on America. Right. That's why Pearl Harbor is such a historical time, because it caught us by surprise when the Japanese did that. But you know, it has a pretty good defense system, the greatest military of all time. So it's not easy just to fire a plane and drop bombs over America.
Y'all just shook me. I didn't even know that. And I live in Tulsa. I didn't know that was the first. Say that again.
It was the first sanctioned American bombing on American soil, and it was against American citizens, obviously, because it's in America. And I think, like Troy said, the only second bombing from airplane ever happen in America, because, like I said, it's not easy to just drop bombs.
Yeah. That's crazy. And the correlation to that, you know, what did Key say? Add value, or to add to that from
add to your wisdom.
Yeah, add to your wisdom. Yeah. Shout out, Keys. Add to your wisdom on that. That at that time, from 1919 to 1921, there were so many black millionaires in Oklahoma that also caused the movement for Oklahoma throughout that time. More KKK family members were moving. Individuals that were involved in the KKK, they were moving to Oklahoma because they didn't like that stat. So the resistance, as black excellence was rising, the resistance was also rising. So Oklahoma eventually became one of the most racist states. But why is that? On this side, we was building the wealth. Yeah. And then on this side, they were dropping bombs. So that just the system. Yeah. That's crazy. And I didn't even know that.
So how did we get to, because I read, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you started in Milwaukee.
Started in Milwaukee, go Bucks.
And we were just in Milwaukee when we're talking about black business thriving. This is another city where we saw a lot of black business thriving, and we got the history on that when we visited. But you moved to Oklahoma, and I think what was it about Oklahoma that you saw growing up that you decided as an adult, I need to make a change? Because I know there was some statistics about the life expectancy of blacks in the state. So what was it that triggered you to say, all right, I need to make a change here in Tulsa? Obviously, the history of Black Wall Street, but was it something else?
You know, it's crazy throughout the pandemic, you know, just getting back to serving people. I was never that smart in school. I actually cheated in college to make it. C's, get degrees. Shout out to all my C's. 2.5 GPA. Don't quit, baby. Don't quit. And so I always just felt as a kid growing up in a single parent home that I wanted to give my life to serve people. I didn't know what that looked like. I majored in business management, but anyway, for me throughout the pandemic, I saw, man, if this continues a long time. At the time, I was running a nonprofit in North Tulsa, and I saw, man, food, health, gut, all of these things are so connected. And I said, man, something's got to happen. North Tulsa hadn't had a grocery store in 14 years. No grocery store in North Tulsa in 14. Like, how is that even possible? But yet there's $10 Generals. So no complete full service grocery store, but yet $10 Generals. Dollar General, by the way, 2021 ended up closing $32 billion. So they proliferate underserved communities and rural communities. So throughout the pandemic, I recognized, man, something's got to shift. So I was in my closet one day. I'm a person of faith, like y'all, and I just felt like something was happening. Like I've never carried a baby, but I felt like I was carrying something. And I said, man, I'm not going to move from this spot, God, until you give me a word. And I felt the word was Ezekiel 36. I will rebuild the wastelands and replant the ruins. That was what I got. And so I didn't know how I was going to do that. Long story short, I left my job, didn't have a plan. Like, that's the crazy. You talked about faith over fear. Didn't have a plan, left my job. And I said, I'm going to figure out a way how to serve people the way that I feel is right. Got a phone call from having great relationships with, people in our city. I got a phone call. Hey, we got this grant. We got $4 million that we're going to have to give back to the federal government that was supposed to be used for a grocery store. AJ, you got grocery experience. I worked at a grocery store, was a regional manager for a grocery store right out of college. Had 7 stores. Most of them were in underserved communities. And anyway, long story short, I said, that's it. How much money will it take? Well, AJ, we think about 6.5, but we only got 4. So you're going to have to, I don't got $4 million. I don't got $2 million at the time, Wife, 3 kids, Asian persuasion. Shout out to my wife. We got 3 blazing daughters. And I put it all on the line. I took everything we owned, all of the money out of my 401k, and it wasn't much, but I just began to connect. So 4.1 million turned into 6.5. We built the grocery store, opened it up. Now it's at 10 million. But we just took a step. So
the first 4 million, so that was a federal grant that they just had pending. You had to come up with, how much money did you have to come up with before you was awarded the grant, or did they just give you the grant and then say come up with the rest? The city get
awarded Rose Washington, Tulsa Economic Development, the grant, and she essentially turned it over to us. And so together we had the public-private partnerships, and so just knocking on doors, connecting with people. Hey, we're gonna build a grocery store. The definition of Oasis means refuge, safe place, shelter. That's why we picked the name, because in a food desert, there's no refuge, there's no safe place, there's no shelter. And I didn't grow up and say, man, I'm a own grocery stores. I never thought that. But now we have a for-profit grocery store and the nonprofit where you can get a gallon of milk, but you can also get your bills paid. You can get an apple, but also you're on food stamps. We're gonna give you a recipe book to teach you how to eat, how to live.
So that was the part of the component. Because even reading the story, it was like, we got to get 7 million. Obviously, the 4 million was public funded, government funded, but you had to get private too, right? And so I wonder what that process was like, because you said, like, Oklahoma, not the friendliest to Black Americans.
Yeah.
So what was the process of getting the private funding? And then the second part was like that nonprofit arm.
Yeah.
Because like when you have a nonprofit and you have experience in it, there needs to be a community attachment to it. And so you very intentionally made it that way, or was that like, hey, we have to figure out how we can make this supermarket or this grocery store, this fresh market, I like fresh market.
Yay.
How can we make this fresh market unique to this area and that so we can set the trend going forward for food deserts?
So I'll answer the second part first. The grocery store was a byproduct. I actually said the nonprofit has to be bigger than the grocery store because we have to serve people. You know, in underserved communities, there's a lack of transportation, lack of education, lack of jobs. So I said, man, how are we? That is the purple cow. That's the unicorn. What grocery store for profit gives away groceries every day? We do. We give people free groceries every single day. And we've been in the black since month 4, and now we're in month 16. So for me, providing those wraparound services and serving people, adding value was the unique thing. Shout out to my councilwoman, Vanessa Harper, District 1. She fought to get a moratorium in place to block any more Dollar Generals in her district, which is District 1, because there was 10 of them. So she fought. A black woman went against $1 billion company to say, you can't cross these lines without my permission anymore. She got threatened. She had to get security for a season. And her husband is a police officer because there were all kind of crazy things happening. But it started there. She put a moratorium in place years before there was ever a grocery store. But that was her fight. And it's an honor for us to serve. It was really her vision. And still is to this day. It was her vision, and she's a city councilor. And so they got that award years ago. And they were the Food Desert Federal Award, they got the $4.1 million years ago, but never had a person that would take the reins of that. They had 2 groups that said they would do it. They fell off. I left my job not knowing what the next step was going to be, but I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur, serve people. Long story short, with Vanessa, with Rose and our team, we just began to just knock on those doors. And we didn't even really have to knock on the doors because people knew North Tulsa was a food desert. And everybody knew the centennial was coming up. So somebody better be a part of saying, something happened in North Tulsa. Something happened in Black Wall Street. And so we give credit to everybody that's helped us build that grocery store, that gave. And we just serving people, man, giving apples, giving hope.
So you was all right. So the 2, it wasn't so much like crowdfunding; it was just like donations.
Yeah,
that helped outside of your money, and then probably friends, family, whatever, and then the community just kind of raised and gave donations, and that equaled that $2 million.
Yep, the 2.5 that came in, but yeah, it was really private money. It wasn't really even donations. We went to a few different foundations that we had relationship with. That's why your gift makes room for you. And so we had those relationships in my other role. And so going with Councilor Harper and Rose, the other partners, people said, we want to give to this.
So city council is playing a major role in this. The mayor is obviously playing. They were all on the same page as you? Were they coming in like, hey, this is an idea that you're the person that executed, or they're like, all right, can we partner with him to get this done? What was that like dealing with city council, the mayor? I'm sure there's other people that probably don't want you to get it done, and then you have a lot of constituents that are saying like, we need this. North Tulsa needs this. It's been a 14-year drought. What was that experience like for you?
The mayor was also behind it as well and helped open up doors, and so that public-private partnership. I keep going back to that because there are dollars, federal dollars, county dollars, state dollars that every state has, but they get to decide where they spend their money. Well, it's good that our mayor and city councilor said, we got to address this food desert issue in North Tulsa. AJ, we feel you're the one to do that. We'll open up our connections, our resources to help you get that done, but you got to own this thing. Oh, by the way, make sure it don't fail. Because black businesses in underserved communities, there's not a lot of successful data yet, but Earn Your Leisure, y'all changing that. We changing that. And so we raised that money, and we've got 41 people on staff. Most of them live right there in North Tulsa. So that was key for me, is that we have to hire from the community. We can't hire people that don't look like us. Well, now we do have a very diverse staff. Like my wife is Asian, so obviously we are diverse. Mm-hmm. But we wanted to show people, because I never saw growing up somebody that looked like me own a business. So now for the other little AJs, the other little Rashads and Troys in the world. We're showing them a model like, hey, if we can do it, y'all can do it too.
Yeah, you said something very important about the nonprofit piece, and you said when you come to the fresh market, we're going to give you financial literacy. If you need help with your rent, we can help with that. If my son needs glasses, what does that look like, right? Because I've never experienced anything like that. So how do you incorporate all these things inside of the fresh market itself?
It's crazy. I just go with my gut. Like there's no real formula. Like we have what we call First Saturdays. So every first Saturday we give away thousands of dollars worth of groceries, but we bring in the glass. Like, so how does it work? The connections that we have, I hit them up and I say, hey, you're in the mental health space, you're in the medical space, you're in the banking space, you're in the real estate space. I want y'all all to show up on this day and we're going to do an event. And we just post it on social media and the people come. But you have to be seen by every vendor because we want to give you the power, the knowledge that you need to transform your life. And they go, oh, I do need some chicken while I'm here. Dang, I need some greens. And so we've become the center of the community intentionally. Because I said, what's missing in our community and how do we fill those gaps? How do we serve people? Okay. And all the dots start connecting. And now, like, who has a for-profit and a nonprofit and gives away groceries?
Yeah, seriously.
So to answer your question, how does that happen? We just, like y'all, we just take steps every day. Sometimes the team is like, AJ, that's a crazy idea, but we try it and we learn from it. Tomorrow, we're giving away over 1,000 backpacks. Y'all didn't know that y'all was a part of a backpack drive. We told Rashad, look, Earn Your Leisure is giving away $1,000 backpacks tomorrow because it's about partnership. We don't have to do everything on our own, but together, like what did Mother Teresa say? I can do things that you cannot. You can do things that I cannot. And together we can do greater things.
Very important. So, all right. So let's talk about this from the beginning. So you get the money. All right. You get the grant. You get the money. What's the first steps that you had to go through to open up the grocery store and get it up and running?
So all along we were doing community meetings where we would tell a community, hey, we'll come to this event center on this night. We want to get your feedback. So community engagement, we designed, and I built the grocery store with Counselor Harper based off the feedback from the community. So we were having meetings for 8 months, almost weekly, to get, hey, what is it that you want in the grocery store? Because we would tell people the success of the grocery store doesn't depend on AJ. It depends on us. So we got all of that feedback, and then that's how we designed and built our grocery store. We have a small footprint, 16,000 square feet, small back room. We have a cafe, fresh produce and all that. That's our mission. We exist to eradicate food deserts, to bring fresh and healthy access to all. So we let the voices of the community build the store.
What did they say? So what did the voices of the community say? What did they want?
Man, sometimes we destroy our own. They wanted, some people wanted to have 15 restaurants inside. I'm like, bro, what are you even talking about? Really what they wanted, after all of that, what they wanted was fresh produce and a place where the community could gather. Out of all of those meetings, that was the summation. Months of driving home sometime feeling like, dang, I ain't opening up no grocery store. This is hard. But after all that, it comes back to how do we serve and add value? And that's what the community wanted. We want fresh produce. And the stigma was, North Tulsa doesn't want fresh produce. What? Oh, they're not going to buy it. We have to get a produce truck 7 days a week. They have access now. There was no access. Dollar General was all, processed stuff. So listening to the community, and that's how we continue to build and evolve and building it and expanding right now.
So, all right, how do you get fresh produce? We just local farmers?
So we do have some local farmers. Our distributor is out of Oklahoma City, so we're in a co-op, okay, which your agriculture piece, we must get a black co-op.
Explain what the agriculture co-op is.
The agriculture co-op is where different groups. So if this table is a co-op, you would pay shares, I would pay shares, you would pay shares into this business, and this business is dealing with the Kraft Foods, Kellogg's, all your big people. So that's where we had to buy a license, pay into this co-op, and so they basically broker food deals for us. And so that was the first step, is to get a food distributor. And so we do all of our ordering through this food distributor. But what people don't understand is bulk buying is a real thing. I'm an independent grocer. So Walmart, they probably buy 1 million bottles of Coke a day and sell it. I need 1,000 a day. Well, who's going to get better purchasing power? They are, because it's about volume. So this co-op is made up of thousands of big grocers, small grocers, but there's still a hierarchy within. And that's where we get our food from. But what we also are doing now is we have begun buying from local, outside of the system, because we want to support local businesses and black businesses. But there's not a lot of black farmers, especially produce. So that agriculture piece that you guys did is huge. We need to, and we will create with you all a black co-op, because the black businesses, that was the ecosystem of Black Wall Street. That's why it was so successful, because we work, play, live, shop amongst each other. So you got a restaurant, but you buying your food from Rashad, who got the grocery store. That's why Black Wall Street was producing so many millionaires, because we had an ecosystem of our own.
Yeah, I mean, you have a tie. When you were developing the store and creating it, you were very intentional about how you wanted it to look. So I want you to talk to the story about the Manns Brothers, because you're not the first grocery store to be in North Tulsa. 1930, the Manns Brothers was the first. And so can you tell about the impact and the influence that it had on you?
Yeah, it was, we were in final phase design of the grocery store. And there's this blank wall. The architect had a blank wall in the grocery store. And I remember one day before we opened that I was looking at this wall. I sat in the cafe and I was looking at this wall and I said, something is missing. Something is missing. And so I just had an instinct, look up black grocers. So I looked up black grocers and there wasn't a lot of information. I called Tulsa Historical Society. I even called the state Oklahoma Historical Society. And I asked them, can you send me a picture of a black grocery store? And they cooperated. But the only pictures I got were after the race massacre. So it was burned buildings. And I was like, yo, somebody got to have history. So doing further research, learned about the Mann Brothers. The Mann Brothers were, they had Mann Brothers Liquor, Mann Brothers Recording Studio, and Mann Brother Groceries. And so right there in the heart of North Tulsa, they had a grocery store. And I saw this beautiful picture. I think there was 13 family members standing in front of a grocery store after the race massacre. And I got my research and started just studying. I said, that's it. We have to pay homage to those that came before us, because I wouldn't be here had it not been for their sacrifice. And the sacrifice is so many. So we have this massive picture in our grocery store that when you work, the first thing you see when you go into the grocery store, you see this Black excellence family from that time standing in front of a grocery store to show together, hey, we can do this. So don't steal here because you stealing from them. Don't act crazy in here because they went before us. So we intentionally put that design at the front of the store to remind people, together we gonna rise up.
It's powerful. So going back to the co-op, because now I'm thinking to myself, the co-op, obviously, you use the example of Walmart, and obviously you're at a smaller scale. Do you independently try to find corporate partners, right? So like, can you go to a distributor directly? Can you find like a Coke distributor in the Southwest or the South region that you can directly go to? Is that something that you guys utilize as well? Or is it just, all right, we're going to use the co-op and we'll figure out small businesses as well? Or how do you balance in that?
Yeah, so there's two sides of that coin. So the majority of our food comes from a distributor because they are they're like the Amazon in that space. And there's several different distributors across the country. We chose the one that was obviously an hour away from us in Oklahoma City. Yes, we can go. It's called direct DSD, direct sales to vendor, basically is what it is. So we can talk to the Cokes, but our volume buying power still is dependent on the co-op. Okay. So that's the challenge that we face being a smaller chain right now. But as we go to eradicate food deserts across the country, that won't be the case. And much longer, and what I see is we will create multiple co-ops and identify, hey, you're a chicken farmer, you grow apples, so then we create this ecosystem. We have a logistics company that's going to start picking it up. We reverse engineer what the current co-ops do, and we take steps to that. Okay, we know we need drivers, we know we need warehouses, we know we need hubs throughout the U.S. to get and hold these. We know we need warehouses. So how many other black grocers are there in the U.S.? In our co-op, there's 5 of us, but yet there's 5,000 grocery stores partners in this co-op, but there's 5 black owned.
So the co-op is for farmers all across the country?
Like anything that you think about, like cereal, chips, coffee, the co-op gives you access to everything in a grocery store that you need.
Oh, so you're only buying from one source?
Yes.
You're not like getting water from another, like everything that you get in the grocery store is coming from the co-op?
Yes, but we have started to go outside of the system because we are intentionally looking for black businesses and even local businesses. We got one guy, Scoops. He's Waterhouse, Italian Ice. Young black dude. He came to me right after we opened the store and he said, I've been watching you, inspired me. I got this idea for a business. I said, you got all your paperwork, your documentation, health department, all that, going through? Yeah, he got it all. I said, let's settle in the store. He's on track right now to make 6 figures and about to leave his job because his product is going crazy in the store. And we want to create more black products so that way we can have that ecosystem of sustainability, economic development, but wealth. Building wealth is key. But the system does fight against that. But we breaking through the system.
Even inside that, I remember we had that conversation about pricing by shelf, right? So like if he has a product, well, this company says that they have to be on the top shelf in the first row of the aisle. So I can imagine a lot of people coming up with ideas. Are they going to have to combat that, or do you have some way to say, all right, well, we're going to make sure that you're placed in a prime location as well?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like your Cokes, your Pepsi, they can pay you direct for shelf space. Right. So as a businessman, it's like, nah, you can't take that because I need Coke's check coming in. But we can be strategic around, okay, let's put Coke is here. They are paying good dollar. And I will say to that, the first time around dealing with those contracts, I missed out on a lot of money because I didn't have the proper knowledge. And when I learned that there's a whole world of the giants that you can deal directly with, everybody's contract has changed now. Because I said, you fooled me once when we opened the store. You won't fool me in year 2. So we need more distributors, businesses, suppliers that are doing anything that's in a grocery store. Label makers. I need a black plastic maker today. Is there one? Who makes plastic bottles? We can create our own Earn Your Leisure Oasis water. But who's making these caps? Who's making these bottles? Who's got the company that purifies the water that goes in so we can put this. So the next conference you got your own water. But there's 3 or 4 different businesses that when you buy this from, you're supporting them because they played a part. But do we have the infrastructure to do that? We will.
So I heard somewhere before that it's very thin profit margins on grocery stores. Is that true?
Facts. 1 to 3%.
1 to 3%. Wow. So just as a businessman, how are you trying to improve that? Because I'm assuming that you're trying to beat that and get higher profit margins, because we're in business to make money. You're in business to help people, but you're in business to make money also. So do you have any ideas on how you can potentially beat that 1 to 3% ratio, or is that just kind of impossible to beat?
I mean, it's all bulk buying power. And so when there's a deal from the co-op, let's say what did we just do? We just signed our September, October, November deals, December. I had to put up $200,000 for it. But basically, our co-op is going to give us ridiculous discounts every single week. So we're going to do basically we're going to advertise crazy things like buy 2 things of bread, get 3 free. Now, I paid for that. But from an attractional standpoint, coming to the store, people are going to see crazy deals every single week. And so that bulk buying that I did, that played, I can now get higher margins because I bought in bulk. And so that's how we beat that 1 to 3%, but I got to do massive deals all the time. And so that's why the importance of having a distribution center is so key, because it sits in their warehouse and I got to pay them more because it's now you taking up space. We'll hold it for you, AJ, but you got to pay us.
Like you do coupons?
We do coupons, yes, sir.
People still do coupons?
People still do coupons.
Physical coupons or virtual?
We got digital coupons. But people still do physical coupons. Your grandma's in the world is not going digital.
That's a whole job in itself.
Yeah, it is. We got 3 senior citizen community centers right by us. They still use paper coupon. AJ, here's my coupon. Dang, girl, can you print it off? But you know, like of course I'm not going. It's we take care of our community.
We love our elders.
Yeah, we honor them.
How often do you have to buy from the co-op? Are you doing this on a monthly basis, weekly
3
basis?
times a week.
3 times a week. Okay. Now you talked about logistics, right? So like obviously when you have to get the fresh produce, you have trucks. So is that like another business that you had to create, or is that part of the infrastructure of the fresh market in itself?
That's part of the co-op infrastructure.
Okay.
So we pay them this license. We pay them to buy our groceries. And they take care of everything else for you, but it comes at a cost. So every time you order groceries, the hidden fees that's inside is
for the transport. There's a company that I know that has a truck or two. We might talk about that after. But something that has affected obviously the country and obviously grocery prices is supply chain issues.
Yeah.
So I wonder how that affected you first, and I got another follow up after that.
So we do have, as many grocery stores, we do have empty shelves. But what we try to do is get on the horn ASAP with distributors even outside of the state. Now it comes at a cost. But okay, if we don't have this specific kind of Cheetos, what other offerings are there? So that way we can fill that space, because you got to drive profit. You got to be successful. And so it's a race to, now we're talking to 3 or 4 different distributors. We're paying the price, because if you want that brand, they're in Minnesota. So now if you want that truck, you got to pay all the way with these gas prices. You got to pay for it to come, but your customers want it. But Walmart has it because they don't have supply chain issues. They built their own shipping, barge throughout the pandemic, because they said, we're not going to wait on who we were anymore. So they built their own. Who does that? So that's crazy. That's crazy.
So what about food waste? Because, you know, when I used to live in Hawaii, and
Malaliki Maka.
Yeah. Aloha to all the good people in Hawaii.
Hey.
Malaho.
So when I used to live there, I was in an apartment, I went to school there, and every like Thursday they would like come and they would give food away. But what it was the food that technically just expired, but it was still good. Like, you could still eat the bread, whatever, but they couldn't sell it in the grocery store anymore because it expired. So it was a bunch of food every single week that they were just giving away because they couldn't. So that's when I realized how much food actually gets wasted.
Yeah.
Which obviously that's an issue for a few different reasons, but from a financial standpoint, that's an issue as well. So how do you deal with food waste? And how has that been for you?
Yeah, it's a fine line there, because if people if the word gets out, oh, well, if we just wait a few days, you know.
We're going to wait outside.
Yeah, we're going to wait outside.
Shotty
like
said we can eat it if it expires.
Exactly.
One day.
Exactly. And so it's a fine line, because we hate food waste. And so that's why we have a great leadership team, but they know, hey, I don't want that shrink. In the grocery world, it's called shrink. And you're going to have shrink every month. You have shrink every day. Like, if your salads don't go, you try to mark it down 2 for $5, 2 for 10. Like, if it don't mark it, like then you gotta take it off the shelf. But that is a very real thing, and it's hard. But we donate that food because we don't want to throw that away.
Homeless people and stuff like that.
Yeah, that ties into the nonprofit in a sense,
it does.
Right?
That was Gooder. We interviewed. You ever heard of that before, Gooder?
Mm-mm.
So we interviewed a young lady. Her name is Jasmine Crow.
Yep.
She has a company in Atlanta. It's called Gooder. And just for this, so it was, and it's actually, she turned into a business because now, like, right when the like restaurants and grocery stores, and she would get and give it to homeless shelters. But I think she's actually like buying it from the stores at like a very low price, but it's still some level of money that's coming in. And now it's like a win-win for everybody. So it's not like they're just giving away food for free. She's actually buying it. But now she's created a whole ecosystem where she actually turned a nonprofit into a business because the food, she saw so much food being wasted that she said it could be a more efficient way to go about it. Mm-hmm. And you should
they call it, I will look her up. What's her name?
Jasmine Crow.
Right? Yep.
Jasmine Crow? Gooder.
Gooder.
How you spell Gooder?
Goodr.
Goodr?
Yeah.
Okay. So in that, in the grocery world, they're called street deals. So if Coke, I don't know why I keep going back to Coke. I guess Coke is about to cut me a check. Or something. Like, I feel it. Kind of like BET. Y'all said on stage, BET, cut that check, baby.
Yes.
BET, why don't you have a food co-op?
Very, very good question.
They gonna fund your agriculture piece. We're gonna buy our produce and our meat from you, and so that ecosystem.
EYL Farms coming.
Hey, EYL Farms.
Sounds good.
That sounds good.
We gotta call somebody really quickly. Give me a second.
Hey, there you go. and because that's key. Like our motto is we want people to be seen, to feel safe, and to be heard. One of the key things for us at the grocery store, people know many times throughout the week, throughout the day, I'm at the front door as the greeter. And so they know, AJ, I don't want that brand of chicken. Okay, well, if I buy the other brand and bring it in here, you better buy it every week. The next week, we order it. So the community partnership that's there, we now have a massive vegan aisle. I didn't even know I had that many black vegans in North Tulsa. But we have a massive vegan because the people say, AJ, you listen to us, right? Yeah. How can I serve you? We gonna get this. Okay, that's gonna cost me money, baby. You gonna be here every Thursday when that truck comes in? I'm gonna be here, and they show up.
Do you feel? I mean, obviously, it's from the standpoint of education. Do you feel the responsibility? Obviously, the vegan option is, a lot of times more healthy than the processed food. So, I mean, the processed foods is what's going to sell, right? Do you feel like the responsibility to educate, number one, and then make sure that they have those opportunities?
Now you're getting into my love language, baby. So we just rolled out this program called Double Up. DUO, Double Up Oklahoma, and there is a federal program. This is a federal program so 60% of our customers are on food stamps. There's a federal program that will match dollar for dollar up to $20 per day if you're on food stamps, and that dollar for dollar match can only be spent on fresh produce and fresh vegetables. So the 11-year life expectancy rate in North Tulsa, we are expected to die 11 years shorter than any other community in Tulsa. 11 years shorter. So if your wife is in South Tulsa, your wife is in North Tulsa, and babies are born on the same day, your baby by zip code is expected to die 11 years shorter because of the health inequities, the health disparities, wealth, all of the challenges, ecosystems that are not there. So we are the first black-owned grocery store in the state of Oklahoma to have the Double Up program. So everybody that's on food stamps, 1st, 5th, 10th, 15th, boys popping that Oasis Fresh Market because that EBT day that hits. But so we have two kind of stores within.
Big sign outside. It's EBT day.
EBT, baby. So we have music in the store. So from 8 to 12, we playing gospel. From 12 on, what? Oasis nightclub in this thing. Like, But that's the center of the community. You grabbing chicken, somebody like, hey girl, I'm coming to your house tonight. Like, it's the community vibe within the grocery store. But so that federal program, dollar for dollar match, is how we teach people healthier options, healthy living. So yeah, you got your food stamp dollars, okay? So don't use your food stamp dollars to buy fresh produce and fresh vegetables, because when you use your EBT card, you're gonna get more money that can only be spent on fresh produce and fresh veggies. And then on top of that, we got a literacy course teaching you how to live healthy. Oh, by the way, if you come tomorrow, we're gonna have 13 different type of medical evaluations that you can get for free, so you can live better. You can feel better.
So talk about the course. Talk about that, educating people, because they might not even know that they even have that option. So education is important. Like, financial literacy is important, but health education is important as well. So talk about that as far as, like, you know, teaching people, because they might not even understand why it's important to eat organic and healthy and different things of that nature.
Yeah, and that's a lot of things are connected to our gut, as we know, and so we're getting ready to roll out a probiotic mixed drink that somebody can put in their water, and it gives them all of the essential, and it tastes good, all of the essential nutrients and vitamins that they need, that we need. There it is right there. That we need for sustainability.
Why does he have it?
Yeah, exactly. You got to put my name on it first, though. We working on that. But even in the mental health world, Alzheimer's and dementia, blacks lead that. But if we actually study it, it's because it's connected to the small and large intestine in the gut. And so it affects the way we think, it affects the way we live. So that literacy piece and teaching people, hey, you gotta eat this, because it's gonna help calm your baby down. You don't even know. For example, we had a mom on the nonprofit side. She was coming to the grocery store. We had a mom that was giving her baby juice. I'm gonna get emotional, but she was raped. And she grew up without a mom, and so she didn't know. And so I see her coming to the store one day, and I'm like, sweetie, what you giving your baby? She said, I'm just giving him juice. I got 3 daughters, and I grew up in a single parent home. I got 2 older sisters, and I pulled her aside. I said, sweetie, you can't give that baby no juice. She said, I don't know. And so we have caseworkers that walk with her, and so we're teaching her how to live. That's how you change a community. Here's a young black girl that got raped, and thank God it was her decision. She kept the baby, but she didn't know that you're actually hurting the baby, because she was never shown that. She was never taught. There is a baby juice that's out there. She was giving them adult baby juice.
Adult,
I was like Kool-Aid or something?
Not like Kool-Aid.
Yeah. That's what it was. If you out there giving your baby 6 months or less juice, stop it.
Grape or red?
EYL Foods coming soon. We gonna teach you.
Grape or red?
Yeah. Great drink. It's a sweet one.
Nah, but the education is important.
Had to plug that in there. I don't know what's happening.
The education is important because, like you said, sometimes you just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when you know better, then you're in position to do better.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people think, like, you know, they think that eating healthy is less tasty.
Yeah.
And it's, honestly, a lot of times it's the reverse. Like, because even for me, like when I used to eat regular peanut butter, grew up on like regular peanut butter, like Jif.
Yeah.
And then when I got to like prep school and I got a little older, I started eating organic peanut butter, like with the oil on top.
Yeah. Mix it up.
And what I realized is that it tastes way better than Jif, like processed, or like white. I never ate white bread my whole life, but regular bread, whole wheat bread and wheat bread.
Wait, you never ate white bread your whole life?
Nah.
Dang.
Yeah, but gratefully, but it tastes way better than white bread. Like most of the healthy options actually end up tasting better than the non-healthy. It's just that we're just uneducated and we just think that this tastes better. Mm-hmm. But in all reality, it usually doesn't.
Yeah. So, and I don't eat white bread to this day, but I learned the difference.
So you gotta, like, for me, you know, my mom, so Dr. Sebi, before he got kicked out of America, you know, he used to be in Brooklyn. And he actually had like a storefront in Brooklyn where he actually was like bringing, and there was like people that was coming in. He was actually educating people. So my mom actually, she was there. So my mom been vegetarian for like 30 years. And so like Dr. Sebi is crazy. Like he became so famous like recently. But I remember like in like the early 90s, and she was started to go to him. And she was telling me about him like 25 years ago. So she always...
That's crazy.
Yeah. So she was always like on that health kick. She didn't really push it, but she was like real big on like that kind of stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like that was something that was real big for me in my household. And like even going to school, like she always packed lunch for me. And
that's a fact.
It was crazy because it's like every other one of my friends is getting school lunch.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you kind of embarrassed, like because you're not. But looking back on it, that's a blessing that she even cared enough to even do that. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like
that's a fact, bro.
He said he had a packed lunch every day, brown bag, or he had a lunch box.
Brown bag.
He had a brown bag. He used to like he bring out the aluminum foil.
Yeah.
And you knew Shotty that was his sandwich.
Yeah.
Hey, that's power though.
Like a plastic bag. Yeah. No, it is. And it's like, you know, you appreciate some things you don't appreciate in the moment, but you appreciate it later on. And what happens as a child sticks with you. So like even like your eating habits is very important because most of the time it's hard to break bad habits that you develop when you're young. So it's like if you have bad eating habits when you're young, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna have bad eating habits for the rest of your life.
Correct. And that's why when we do our first Saturdays or our outreaches, we have Black chefs that come in and that are cooking healthy food to taste for people to taste. So the nonprofit covers the cost of, hey, taste this different option. So that way, it's when you know it's in the store, this is how you make it. And we call it balling on a budget. So we're going to teach you how to ball on a budget and eat healthier. And by the way, taste this mug while you're here, and you're going to like it. But those habits are key.
You just said the key word is ball on a budget, right? And so that's another part of what's happening in America, right? Inflation. And so obviously grocery prices have gone up. So how are you combating that? Is that part of the financial literacy? Is like, we're going to walk you through it because prices go up. That affects you. Yeah. But it also affects the consumer. So
how right now inflation is, in the grocery space is 12 to 18% up.
Yeah.
Since last year?
Yeah.
Damn.
And so, but here my customer level is the same. We see 400 to 600 people to come through our doors every day. And so what I have to do is I'm in a race against inflation. So as inflation comes down, I better shift and be on the right side of that, or else the economies of scale. If I'm not careful, I will end up inflating and ballooning myself, which then balloons the community, which then goes, oh shoot, that 1 to 3 profit margin. Last month we may have made X number of $1,000. Oh shoot, now we into this no commas? No. So we are intentional about making sure that we are combating, because inflation is going to come down. It may take a while, but right now, as one grocery store, we are already planning for when inflation comes down. Our money is not based off of inflation. Like the profit is not based off of inflation. And so it's that tension. You got to fight that tension for sure.
So let's talk about this food desert situation. Because, like I said, I used to live in Baltimore. I used to live in a lot of places. So I used to live in Baltimore.
You might have noticed.
And,
with the bag lunch, baby.
Yeah, I went to school in Baltimore. So I did it was called Handles. Like, I forgot what the acronym stand for, but it was a research. And I had to go around, and it was an eye-opening experience for me because you don't think about it. Like, nobody ever thinks about stuff. You just live.
Yeah.
But then when you actually think about it, and I'm going to all these different neighborhoods, and I'm going to the like bodegas and like taking inventory of what they have in the bodegas, and I had to go through this whole research project. And that's the first time that I really got educated on food deserts and why there are food deserts and how dangerous it is for food deserts. And so your name is Oasis. Does that have anything to do with a food desert? Because a oasis obviously is a water in the middle of a desert. So is that
place of refuge?
So how we even got the name? I was still working at my other job at the time, and I was in a role with the city where I was helping them to build it like design. This is like paper design, not even structure. And I remember they were trying to find a name. And so I was in my home office one night, and this company had sent all these suggested names. And I'm like, man, these names is trash. I get halfway through the list, like 77 names. I'm halfway through the list. I'm tired. It's like 11:40 something. And I remember to this day, I closed my laptop and I said, man, if I was physically in the desert, what would I feel? Okay, so if I was in the Sahara Desert, I would feel hot. Of course, I would want water. I would want food. I would want shade. Man, and we've seen in movies, people start going out of their mind. So you see hallucinations. So I was like, man, if I had started seeing hallucinations, what would I see? And I saw this picture of Hawaii. I've not been to Hawaii yet, but Oasis on your leisure coming to Hawaii soon. Facts.
Very soon.
And so I remember saying, if I had hallucinations, I would see Hawaii. And I said, Oasis. And I remember opening up my laptop and I Googled Oasis. And there's obviously various different ones, but each one of so 3 different ones that I found, one had refuge, one had shelter, one had safe place. I said, that's it. North Tulsa, blacks haven't had a refuge. We haven't had a safe place, and we haven't had a refuge. The name is Oasis, where you can come to be seen, to feel safe, and to be heard. And that's our communities have gone through so much. I think about the story of a single parent mom who a few weeks ago, her baby died in a fire. She came to the grocery store. She has an 8-year-old daughter. She came to the grocery store because we have a utilities and rent assistance program. That somebody in her apartment complex knew that she was behind on her bills and said, go to Oasis because they can help you pay your bills. She came to Oasis. She got the information the first time. My sister, who works on staff, talked to her and said, hey, what's going on? She took the paperwork. She left. She came back the next day to get more information. My sister talked to her again. She breaks down and this woman breaks down and starts crying. And she said, when I came in yesterday, I was preparing to commit suicide because my daughter died in a fire and it's my fault. Everybody's blaming me. I have an 8-year-old daughter who is severely handicapped. The pressure's too much. I wanted to make sure my bills were paid before. Like, what? So now we have a team that got her connected to mental health services and got her the help that she needs for her baby who's handicapped. And we're helping her to redo her apartment because her landlord is a slumlord. So we're going to pay for everything in her apartment, the walls to get redone, the floors and all that. And we're going to walk this course with you. Does that take a lot of effort and energy? Absolutely. But in order to change a community, you got to start with the one. And so at a grocery store, you help people that were going to commit suicide, not even knowing that was the case, but we just serving people. So it doesn't, like, and we hear stories like that all the time. And I'm like, I can't stop. Like the days that's hard, grocery world is hard. People business is hard. And some days you're an adult babysitter, you're the plumber, you're the electrician, you're the architect. Like I tell people, you don't want to be an entrepreneur. You don't want that because you got a YouTube. Dang, I better YouTube how to fix this toilet because I don't want to call no plumber because it's gonna be it's gonna be an L this month. And so one time, and Vlada's got recording, my toilet got stopped up. I'm no handyman. I don't know a dang thing. I had to call somebody to help me put together my baby crib when I had my first baby because I didn't know. So I'm getting this thing. What's that thing you put in the toilet? You know what it's called?
Snake.
Yeah. Get the snake. The poop explodes.
Oh,
I die for a second.
I died.
I scream. The security guard is running to the bathroom because she thinks something happened to me. Help me! Like I scream because I'm like, I'm dying. It's on me right now.
Right now.
Like right now, help me.
Literally.
I die. Like I die. I became a new man after a shower, and so. But those are like people say, man, I want to be an entrepreneur. You don't want that business. You don't. It's easier to work for someone else. Now being on the other side, it's easier to work for someone else, but I'll never go back because the freedom that you have to be your own is a game changer. And even Steve Harvey and Tyler Perry talked about ownership. Ownership is a game changer. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: as far as on that vein, you said 40 people.
41 people.
So how has that been?
On the for-profit and 9 on the non-profit.
Okay. How has that been as far as employing people in the store? I'm assuming a lot of young people, maybe.
A lot of young people in the afternoon.
Okay, so you got young people. How is it? How's the morale? How has there been issues? Is it difficult to manage that amount of people? Customer service jobs, grocery store. That's something that it's a hands-on experience. Whether it's working in the aisles or checking people out, and it's not an easy job, and it's not something that people might not necessarily be too enthusiastic about, especially if they're young. Mm-hmm. They're kind of just doing it because it's like something to do for the summer. Yeah. It's not like a career that they're probably going to do. So, how has that been for you?
Whew. People are messy. That shit is hard. Like, it is hard to be an owner and an adult babysitter. Like, I didn't know I was running a daycare because people can be catty. Okay, let's come together. Come on. Look, we're Oasis. So we have 10 core values. And so when there's a challenge, we go back to a core value and we teach people, we call it HIT. Honesty, integrity, transparency. So we train our staff when you have a disagreement with someone, because we know we're going to have disagreements. You're to frame the conversation with, hey, I need to have a HIT conversation with you. So that disarms it. You're supposed to be disarmed to know that, hey, I'm a little nervous, but I need to have this conversation with you. And even our staff managers, we train them, hey, this is how we will handle situations. So we created a detailed step-by-step to take the thinking out. If you were to come to the grocery store right now, you would be able to go to page such and such for any issue, and it will tell you by detail what you should say, how to communicate, how to tie back to a core value, how you should position your body language, all of that, because we wanted to take the thinking out of serving people so you can focus on, we're in a service industry base. So I need you to be the best version of you. But you live in a world back in your home where your habits, talk about the staff, I don't know what world you come from, so I have to retrain you. I shouldn't say our culture is, man, we want to retrain you. You may have been taught to yell back at somebody. No, not at refuge, safe place, shelter. Somebody goes to a 10, you want to go to a 12. No, not an Oasis, because we're a refuge, a safe place, shelter. When people walk in the doors, we want people to feel Oasis. So we train our staff. Everyone says, welcome to Oasis. You come any time of the day. That lead cashier and that greeter is going to say, welcome to Oasis. And how do we do that? We pay better wages than there's a big gas chain, Quick Trip, in North Tulsa. Other than them, we pay our people better than anyone else. And that was a decision we made. And that comes out of L for my wife and I. Like, if I want to be a regular owner, we're going to take it off the top first. No. We're going to give to our community first. Because if I can influence you and pay you well and make sure your family eats good, then what people don't talk about is that intrinsic reward, that trust that we have. Man, girl, you better come work at Oasis. It's a good place to be, because I need us to build our own community. So if we treat you well, my wife and I, if we serve you well and make sure that your personal needs are taken care of, you're going to be the greatest brand ambassadors for us. Mm-hmm. And that's the case. Like, we have great employees. We have great staff morale. We have a team huddle every morning at 9:30. Where I say, everybody lift your left hand, lift your right, and we clap it up. And some customers come, they call it their Oasis church. They say, man, I come for AJ's 15-minute church service. This ain't no church, but they feel seen, safe, and heard. Yeah. So it's a movement.
I love it. So you said something important earlier. You said there can't just be one. And so let's talk about the vision going forward, because there's plenty of food deserts, obviously, in North Tulsa. But, I mean, there's a lot of communities, people who look like us, experience food deserts. So what's the vision for scale?
We right now, actually this morning, matter of fact, my leg is shaking because I'm like, man, but I had an opportunity to take venture money early on in month 3. And I felt at the time, if y'all are coming at me this early, there's something to this. Now, mind you, I was taking no salary, and you get, I think we had 2 or 3 different offers at the time with commas in that thing. And I'm thinking, oh, shoot, son.
Yeah.
I need that money right there. And I studied a book called Venture Deals and learned the ins and outs. And I said, let me just push pause. If y'all coming at me with this money right now, there's something to this. And I don't know nothing about groceries. That's the crazy thing. I own grocery stores, but I really am not I'm not a grocery expert. But we have people on our team and consultants that are amongst the best in the U.S. that are advising and coaching us. And I'm grateful that we didn't at the time take that venture money, because we would have had to come up with ways to get that back, and we would have had to scale too fast. Well, now I can get my systems right, get my culture right, and scale at a pace. So right now we've been open 15 months, and we're in design for our 3rd store. We just bought a building on our 2nd one. That's going to open spring of 2023. What?
All in Tulsa?
All in Tulsa.
So you have 3 stores in Tulsa.
3 stores in Tulsa. All in food deserts. Our mission is to eradicate food deserts. So what's to come? Earn Your Leisure Farms, Earn Your Leisure Foods, and we will go into the 80% of the food deserts. 53.6 million people live in food deserts in the U.S. 80% of those are black and brown communities. We all know every city y'all go to, you got food deserts. Mm-hmm. This will be the model that is in place to show people public-private partnerships, for-profit, nonprofit, wraparound services, all under one umbrella is how you change food deserts. So what's the future? We will be in as many food deserts in America and beyond. And we're going to do it together.
Were you able to get grants for that one as well, for the other 2, or?
Yes, sir.
So that's that. So what's the grant? It's a grant from the state or from the federal government?
So there's 2 different routes. So there's always federal money. So right now, President Biden is getting ready to hold the first food desert conference in 50 years at the White House. By God's grace, we will be able to be at that and have already started some preliminary conversations with our office on what is it that we're doing and how can they leverage that as the model. And so I'm like, okay, as you pass bills, we're going to do this model with the money that y'all set aside. And every state has an allocation of money. Every county has an allocation of money. But it's up to those decision makers for how they spend that money. So that's why relationships are key, because as we go into these different cities, everybody's got their own pot. Okay, we're gonna leverage that and create jobs, create sustainability, Earn Your Leisure Food Farms, agriculture. You see, we keep coming back. You see, there's a theme here. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, there's this massive ecosystem as we grow. Y'all are going into places every week, every day, just about, where there is a lack of food access. And by the way, the nonprofit just bought a brand new 15-passenger van, and we're going to start going home by home, picking up people 3 times a week to bring them to the grocery store, those that don't have transportation. Who does that? Because it's about people. It's about serving people. So where there's see a need and meet it, find a hurt and heal it. Our communities are broken, but we can heal our communities. I get revved up.
So relationships very important.
Oh, I was going to ask about Soulful Sundays. I keep seeing it.
Soulful Sundays at Oasis.
I watched the videos. I want you to tell me what it's all about. It gets me pumped up listening to it. So
you ain't watched no Soulful Sunday, cuz.
I wouldn't bring it up if I didn't.
So Soulful Sundays is a matter of the heart for me. And finding a way to motivate. It's so funny. Some customers say that they shop on Sundays, but they wait until the Soulful Sundays posted, because they say that's Pastor AJ. People really say Oasis is their church. I'm like, we ain't no church, but it's a movement. Like, you get like our pages aren't really talking about buy 2 apples, get 1 free. You go to our Instagram or mine, it's the stories of people. Like, so Soulful Sundays is a motivational minute, really, and it's a thought through. Sometimes it's not. It's what's the word in my heart, and we look at the camera and we say Soulful Sundays at Oasis. Let's see, what was the last one? Oh, it was fertilizer. You know what? Every garden needs dirt. But you know what? Every garden also needs fertilizer. What's fertilizer? Fertilizer is
shit.
Got him. Okay. But we all want to grow, right? You want to grow, I want to grow, but we don't want to go through the shit. But the shit on a garden is necessary for growth. In your life, you will walk through shit. Keep growing. Soulful Sunday, you're seen, safe, and heard. Boy, earn your leisure. Look at that. Woo! Man, even the cameraman is about to take a lap around this thing. But it's about serving people.
It's a fact.
It's about serving people. And we are passionate about being the answer to serve people. It's still tough. Y'all better come on. We're going to change the world. We are changing the world. And it starts with us.
Yo, I'm glad you did that one because that's the last one I watched.
Facts, come on.
There you have it. All right, my last question is, so what's the 10-year plan for this? Is it going to be in cities all across America? How do you envision Oasis scaling? You're already scaling locally in your neighborhood in Oklahoma, Tulsa. Where do you see this going?
Oasis hospitals, Oasis boys' homes, Oasis girls' homes, Oasis manufacturing, Oasis logistics, Oasis schools, Oasis apparel. And all of this is not about the Oasis brand. It's about connecting people. So Oasis is not just a grocery store. We have another motto. We say we're more than just groceries, equipping you for life. We want to equip you for life. How do I do that? How do we do that? Food, medical, education, literacy, training, workforce development, housing, transportation, e-commerce, Oasis technology, Oasis media. And it's not that it has to be the brand Oasis, but the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, a movement of teaching boys and girls and kids and senior citizens and blacks and whites and Asians and rich and poor about access to food and the importance of serving people. That's the next 1 to 10 years and beyond, not just in Oklahoma, but in food deserts across America.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Very powerful. AJ, thank you, brother.
Aaron Johnson.
We gotta collaborate. We gotta collaborate on a few different things for sure. But I'm definitely interested in that farm idea.
Yeah.
Let's go. Earn Your Leisure Food, LLC. It'll be up in a few weeks. You know what I want to do though?
Today.
Straight up today. The vegan lady that was on the stage.
Slutty vegan?
Slutty vegan.
Yeah, Pinky Cole.
Yo, when I was in the audience listening to her at InvestFest, I said the month of October, we're going to do a 30-day. AJ going to go vegan for 30 days. All products, detergents, food. And I had that idea sitting in the audience. And I mean, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I basically told my team, I said, let's send her a message to see if she can just send us, because, dudes, deodorant, how am I going to go to the gym smelling like a dang onion, but we're going to document everything to show people, hey, here are the options of healthy living. Guess what? I'll show you. I'll do it. So I'm going to submit. I love me some chicken, but I'm going to submit to be a vegan, and we'll document it and show our audience, hey, these are options, and we'll show you the budget. So people are like, oh, well, you can do that because you got, no, I'm going to show you. I'm going to live like a vegan, full-blown vegan, like you was going to school with my foil at work, and we're going to teach people and show them. So tell Slutty Vegan she need to post more content so we can, because I'm trying to figure out how to, and I'm nervous, to be honest. How am I going to be a vegan for 30 days? I don't know, but I'm going to show people so that way people know there is a different way.
Yeah. Yeah.
A healthier way.
Very important. I think it's not that difficult. Like you said, it becomes difficult when you start getting into the technicalities of it, like the deodorant.
Toothpaste.
Yeah.
Shampoo.
Yeah.
But we gonna do it.
We gonna figure it out.
That's
Your
it.
Leisure Foods coming.
EYL Farms.
Hey, they just bought the LLC right now.
Yep, that actually just happened.
Tell Steve Harvey you look. He go. That's your next investment. He gonna invest in you right there.
Get a tractor like Rick Ross.
Hey, he got a tractor.
Yeah. You got a couple of them.
But does he have a farm?
He has animals that he's just got a couple cows. He got chickens. So he's developing a farm.
Yeah.
On
Livestock.
Yeah, he got like 180 acres or something like that. So
something ridiculous.
He's developing.
And if he can supply his own chicken for all his wing stops, that's a game changer.
There you go.
Yeah.
What?
Lemon pepper wings.
Hey,
for everybody
with the soda on the side. Hey.
In abundance.
There is abundance, and that's the thing, black people. We got to understand there is abundance in the world.
Chicken wings is your birthright.
Hey, but there is abundance. Someone else winning doesn't mean that you lose.
That's a fact.
Black people, we have to not self-destruct. Like the power that lies within us as a community. There is now a new Black Wall Street evolving, and not just in Tulsa. Black Wall Street is not a physical location. Black Wall Street is a mindset of excellence, of health, of options, of education. And we must recreate that together. And now and we're doing it. It's already happening. EYL, do y'all have it just hit me, on your different platforms, on your website, do you have hey, this is housing, this is food, all of the people that you know in your influence world?
A reference?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we don't, but it's a good idea. We can definitely kind of organize it like that.
It just popped in my head, y'all, people go to y'all. I was telling Troy, I didn't sell my rental property because I saw, I needed money. I didn't sell my rental property because y'all posted, something one morning, you do your thing, you got the thing in the back. Yeah. I didn't sell my rental property because I saw a 1 minute nugget and I was like, dang. And I actually needed that. I was telling him I thought I needed that as collateral, the money for my second store. Ended up getting a grant and didn't even need the bank and I still got my rental property. But I almost sold it.
Power information.
You never know.
Y'all are a reference point. Y'all are a university, a global university.
Yep. EYL University.
What AJ said.
A much higher learning. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the energy, man. Thank you for the energy. Informational, definitely transformative situation, and very important too, because like I said, we're talking about money, and money's important, but finances is only as good as your health. So health is wealth, and you have to be able to even be healthy to enjoy your finances. So health is extremely, extremely important, something that we all should take serious, and what we put in our bodies is ultimately probably the most important thing. So
thank you.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you for your vision. Thank you for your passion, man.
Come on.
Yeah, man, it's
I'm
important,
grateful.
right? You were given a vision, and you walked into the footsteps that were left for you. That's the most important thing. The bill has been passed, like you said, but it was waiting for you to come do it. So we appreciate you, Harley, for everything you're doing. It's important.
Vest Fest October, London, be there.
Yes,
That's a fact.
Halloween.
We're grateful. Honored to be with you guys. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your consistency, your dedication, because it is impacting North Tulsa residents that you may never meet, that you may never know, but your information, as it impacts me, and I literally walk that out, it impacts District 1 in North Tulsa.
Thank you, brother. Troy, housekeeping items?
Yeah, man. Shout out to everybody on Earn Your Leisure University. All our earners everywhere, worldwide, global. Like you said, it's not an American thing; it's a global thing. So shout out to all our earners. Shout out to all the people behind the scenes that are making the train go. Man, we appreciate everybody. Shout out to everybody that's supporting the merch. We love y'all as well. And again, man, thank you, AJ, for coming and blessing us. This was an important episode. It was a good one. So we thank you for all the work you're doing and for everything that everybody's doing in Tulsa. Right, like you said, it's not a physical place; it's a mindset. And so that mission, that vision, that passion for economic freedom lives through us, and we all got a role to play. So shout out to everybody that's doing that part.
Thank you guys for rocking with us. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.
My graduates from my school being Forbes, bag drop.
Bag drop.
A mic drop, bag drop.
Bag drop.